In this lesson, we are going to continue working on the Big City Pet Sitters website, and we're going to learn how to convert our web page design into a Dreamweaver template and build out the site. We're also going to learn a little bit about CSS along the way as well. Now, we learned a little bit about templates earlier when we decided that we would go to File and New and choose one of these templates here as the foundation of our website. That's not the same thing as we're about to learn now, so I'm going to cancel out of that. What a Dreamweaver template is it's like a master copy of your design that you're going to want to replicate on other pages. If you're an InDesign user, think of a Dreamweaver template, which by the way is going to have a file extension of .dwt, not HTML. But anyway, you'll think of a Dreamweaver template like you would a master page in InDesign. There'll be certain elements that'll be replicated throughout the site, and then the other pages will have their own information as well. Now, if you look at the page we have open, it's called Index. And by the way, I've cleaned up my workspace. I've went up to Window, and I've went down to Workspace Layout here, and I have reset my classic view. I'm always in classic view, and I've reset my classic workspace. And this is what we see here. I am also in design mode at the moment instead of split, and I'm usually in split, but for now I'm in design mode. So we have this one page and it looks great, and we're thinking that we want the rest of our site to match that. Now the rest of our site, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages that match these links here across the top. The file that we're working on now is named Index. Well, Index is always the name of your home page, so we are going to reserve Index actually for our real home page. So before we get started, make sure that any of the files that you might have open from previous videos are saved. Everything is saved, all CSS files and everything is saved. And now let's go to File and go to Save As, and in our Big City Pet Sitters folder, let's just name this guy Layout. We're actually going to overwrite Index, so we're just going to name this one Layout. Okay, that way we always have our original design if we ever need it, because again, Index is going to be overwritten. So now that we have layout.html, why don't we close index.html? And now we are going to convert this guy into a template and actually build out our site. To do that, you're going to go to the File menu, and you're going to go down to Save As Template. Not Save As, go by there and go to Save As Template. Dreamweaver is going to ask you what you'd like to name your template. Well, let's just name this one maybe Big City. Notice that we didn't use a space, I used an underscore. And let's click Save. And Dreamweaver is going to ask us to update links. Just about anytime Dreamweaver asked you this, you're probably going to want to say yes. And the reason Dreamweaver asks you that is because, check this out. Let me just expand the Files panel here. And you're going to see a new folder called Templates. You're going to see a new file in there called bigcity.dwt. You may also notice the little tab here is now a DWT and not an HTML page. Our original HTML page is still there. Alright, so now we have a new template, alright, and we want to create our other pages based on this template. Before we do that though, we have to declare what's called an editable region. Now an editable region is an area on your page that actually can be modified on the pages that you create from the template, alright? So what that means is your design is locked down except for your editable region. That's the only place on the other pages that you can actually make modifications. So that is actually the key to keeping your design consistent. Now the editable region that we want to create is right here on this middle div tag. So I'm going to select right here. Now notice when I hover over this, I get this little red line. And this guy is a div tag, so I'm going to click on that. And now you might be thinking, well, what's a div tag? Well, that's the way we create containers or division areas in our Dreamweaver layouts. If you're used to InDesign, you'll probably be used to frames. You know how you create a text frame or graphics frames? Well, that's very similar in Dreamweaver, and that's what this guy right here is it's a div tag. This div tag is given an ID named content. If you remember in our CSS styles panel, we had 4 selector types. One of those was an ID. And in this case, the div tag that we have selected is given an ID. An ID can only be used one time per page. Now I'm not going to get too deep into all that right now, so let me just cancel out of here. But now we have enough information to be able to turn our div tag into an editable region. So I'm just going to verify that it's selected. I like to go here in the tag selector just to double check. And now I'm going to go to the Insert menu, and I'm going to go down to Template Objects, and right here is Editable Region. That's what we need to select. And now we need to give our editable region a name. Let's just name it Content, and click Return or Enter. And what just happened, I'm going to have to scroll up a little bit so you can see this. What just happened now is you're going to see this bright blue tab here, and that lets you know exactly what region is editable. So now when we save our template, we can create our other pages based on this template, and this is the only place we'll be able to type into. The rest is controlled by the design. Now, the good news about that is this: if you need major design changes later, for instance, if we decide that we need to go in and add new links at the top or maybe new footer information, well, that's perfect, because then you just have to modify the template, you save it, and every single page that's connected to that template will change. So think of it like that. The Dreamweaver template controls the design. So let's close this page. I'm going to click this X, and yes, we do want to save it. And now we are ready to create. Let's go to File and New. File, New. We are ready to create new pages based on that template. To do that, you're going to go right here and choose Page from Template. And we are in the Big City Pet Sitter site, and here's our one template. And now we are going to click Create. Very good. Now if you hover your mouse around, you're going to notice that you're going to get a go away sign unless you are in the editable region. Well, we had enough content already in our layout page to suffice for the index page. So this is a pretty good amount of content. So why don't we just go ahead and save this page as index. We're going to overwrite our other index page. So go to File, Save As, and again, I am going to just overwrite index. So I'll click Save here, and yes, we do want to replace it. Now this page is connected to the template, and I know that, and I can always verify by scrolling up and looking in the top right corner, and that tells me which document this is connected to. Well, very good. Well, let's try that again. We also need a pet services page. So let's go to the File menu, and let's do New. And once again, we want a page from a template, and we'll click Create, and now we have a new page that we need to save. Now the only thing that we can change in here is right in our content area. So why don't I delete the logo and tighten the space up a little just by hitting delete, and this is going to be services, pet sitting services. We're just going to replicate right here this link that says pet services. So what we'll do is actually get rid of this text and have this header 1 text here match our link. So we can just backspace here a couple times and type pet services, and now we are ready to save the document. Let's go to File, Save As, and we can just name this guy Services, and let's click Save. So now we have two pages that are both connected to the template. If you look here in the Files panel, one's called Index, one is called Services. Well, you can absolutely keep going to File, New from Template, and creating your other pages that way, or you can do this. Go to File, Save As. Since we've saved Services, we can just name it something else and it'll work just the same. So let's name this one Featured Pet.html. All right. And we'll click Save there. And I believe we need two other pages, Multi-Pets and Contact Us. So again, we'll just do the same thing. Multi-Pets, there we go. Now one thing that I haven't been doing is I didn't change the H1. Let me go ahead and do that here. I'm just going to delete this text. And Command S or Control S to save. Let me pop back over to Featured Pets. All of my open documents are right here across the top on these tabs. So let me go here and do the same thing before I forget. and Command S to save. All right, well, I think we need a contact page, and that'll be it. Let's do that. Let's do a file, save as, and name this guy contact. And let's then change our H1. And save. All right, so now we have all of our pages created and saved from our template, but do they work? No, they probably don't. Let's check it out. If we were to preview this page in the browser, and if you were to click any of these links, none of these are going to work. Of course, Big City is linked to the home page, but these guys, they don't have pages when we created our template, but now they do. So let's make that work. Let's close the browser. Let's right-click on any of these tabs and go to Close All. So now that everything is closed, I would like for you to open your Files panel. So what we are going to do now is modify the template, and when we do, all of the other pages are automatically going to change. Let's check it out. Let's double-click our Dreamweaver template, and let's link up our pages. Okay, so I'm just going to scoot this Files panel over to the right, and Big City Home. I'll select this text, and I'm going to look down in the Properties panel to the link field. Now this guy's already going to index, so I'm sure it's okay, but just for good measure, I'm going to use this little point to file icon. I'm going to drag it and drop it over on index. All right. Pet services, we will do the same thing there. You can use the point to file icon, hold it down and drag it and drop it over here, right? Or you can always click Browse to File and choose your file from here. So this time we are looking for services. There it is. And click Open, and now Pet Services is going to be linked to services. All right, let's check it out with Featured Pet. I'm just going to click here to browse to File. I'm going to go to featuredpet.html, and I am making the links active. We'll do this all the way across. Here's multi-pet, multi-pets, and last but not least, our contact page. All right, we see this little asterisk here. That means that we have unsaved changes. So if we go to File, Save, Dreamweaver says, hey, you have a lot of other pages that rely on this template. You just changed the template. Would you like to update those other pages? Of course we do. So let's click Update. And when Dreamweaver updates the other pages, we can close this dialog box. And now we can test out any of those other pages. Why don't we just open maybe Featured Pet? Okay, so we'll maybe open Featured Pet. Let's preview this guy on the browser. And now hopefully our links are going to work exactly like they're supposed to. So this should open the home page. This should open the services page. And I think you get the idea. Multi-pets and contact us. All right, well, in this lesson, you learned how to take a regular HTML page, convert it to a template. You learned that templates need to have an editable region. Once there's at least one editable region, you can build out your site based on that template. In this lesson, we had 5 pages that are all connected to the template. We've seen how to go in and edit the template. We did that by activating these links, creating the links to the pages that we created, and then we saw how all of the pages are then changed based on the design.